Flight of the Orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Every 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Hello everybody, welcome to a week ahead news show here on the little channel. It is currently August, and we're getting almost to the end of summer. August 3rd, 2026, episode 70 here on the little channel, a big number, really cool. But everyone's having a great start of their week. It is, like I said, Monday, August 3rd. No vacations this week, no holidays, so don't expect no time off work. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell. Facebook is in our description as well. We have stocks for the day above us and weather below us as well. We'll be going over that a little bit more detail now. A stock market recap. Today's change for the NASDAQ Composite, when I checked this earlier, was about a 2.2% change. Looks like S&P 500 was a 1.5% positive, by the way, for both. Russell 1.5% positive for the last 5 days trending. About a 1.6% for the NASDAQ, 1.3% for S&P 500, and 0.1% for Russell 200. So, key market points right now, so NASDAQ is leading the rally. Technology stocks drove the market higher if investors are turning to AI and large market growth companies. The Magnificent 7 Technology Group helped push the broader market higher as well. S&P 500 gains momentum as well, with a large broader market share push the index to close to record levels, which is awesome. Lower oil prices and easing inflation concerns help improve investor sentiment. But gas is still pricey, and we're seeing our stuff in the Middle East. We'll talk a little bit. Russell 200 rebound as well. Also, right now, falling bond yields are helping growth stocks, with strong corporate earnings continue to support investor confidence. Risk investors are watching AI stock valuations remain concerned after a large technology-driven run. Federal Reserve interest rate expectations continue to influence markets, and geopolitical uncertainty remains a source of volatility. Now we take a look at the Middle East and everything going on there. Take a quick sip of water and we'll go right into a funny topic. Almost forgot weather for the day, so let's do that. Whoa, we just got a letter. It's currently 70 degrees. Alright, let's get it. High today was 79, low 63. It was basically just a nice day, clear. Tuesday, tomorrow's going to be clear. High at 84, pretty hot, low at 56. Wednesday, we have a 55% chance of rain. High at 84, low at 66. Thursday, 70% chance of rain, high at 85, getting hot, low at 69. Friday, 75% chance of rain, high at 80, low at 69 again. Saturday, 45% chance of rain, high at 84, low at 68, will be nice and hot. Sunday, high at 86, oh my god, low at 68, 35% chance of rain. And we also see here that actually, next Monday we have a 45% chance of rain, high at 86, low at 72. Right now, our moon's in waxing gibbous. We have about 73% illumination. Our moon sets at 11:30 a.m. Our moon rises at 10:51 p.m. The next full moon's in 25 days. It was last week for the vampires. Hopefully everyone was safe out there. Our first light today was at 5:49 a.m. with sunrise today being at 6:20 a.m. Sunset today at 8:37 p.m. About right now. Last light, however, was at 9:07 p.m. About total daylight, 14 hours and 16 minutes. We're basically almost getting to an hour less from our highest on June 21st. A little over a month away from now. We got about half an inch of rain today. A 0.05 of an inch, actually. So, 0.05 of an inch. So not too much. Funny, not so funny topic. I said we're going to get right into it. Let me change in here too. I keep forgetting to transition. Nice. Love to see it. Let me get stocks going. A funny topic, not so funny, is Trump slamming Jeanine Pirro for dropping a Reflection 4 vandalism case. He said she choked. However, she was probably hammered drunk like we saw her on Fox News all those years. New political controversy has emerged inside the Trump admin after President Trump publicly criticized, because he had to blame someone, and that's why he hired an FBI U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro for dropping a federal vandalism case involving the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. The case centered on former Olympian canoeist David Herron, who has been charged with damaging the newly renovated reflecting pool by pulling up sections of its protective liner. The admin initially argued that vandalism was responsible for the extensive damage on the project, and just like everything Trump does bad, he likes to blame it on someone else. And a lot of times he likes blaming it on fake crimes. Yuck, yuck, yuck. which had become a part of President Trump's effort to beautify Washington, D.C. ahead of America's 250th anniversary celebrations, and we see how much of a trash mess that was. However, prosecutors later received additional documentation from the Department of Interior showing that the problems were actually caused by a rust and flawed installation progress. According to court filings, the liner had been peeled throughout the pool, including areas that would have been nearly impossible for vandals to reach. Based on the new evidence, Pierre's office moved to dismiss the criminal charges, stating that the damage resulted from a botched installation rather than intentional vandalism. President Trump strongly disagreed with that conclusion. Speaking to reporters, he said that he was really disappointed in Pierre, claiming that she had folded like an umbrella. My favorite is to say like a banquet chair at the end of the night, so Trump can't even talk right, in my opinion. Come on, bro. Make sure I got the chat here. Alright. Trump maintained that while contractor may have made mistakes in construction, he still believes vandals caused the majority of the damage. I mean, dude, his mental's scary if that's true. If facts are in his face, he's like, well, what about the fake vandals? It must have been the liberals or maybe immigrants. Crazy to me. He also suggested a court, and the judge handling the case made it difficult for prosecutors to proceed. Good. The disagreement is notable because Doreen Pierre has been long one of Trump's moral political allies, all talking about him for Fox News when she was wine drunk. Reports indicate Trump had privately expressed frustration after her decision, and there have been speculation about her future as the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. Dang, he's going to have 3 so far? He's going through more than years, he says, so far, although no political personnel changes have been announced. The controversy also renewed scrutiny over the report itself. For a nearly $15 million project experienced peeling lino as we go for construction issues shortly after completion. Critics have questioned over project management, while supporters of the admin argue that vandalism still played a role, Jesus Christ, despite construction flaws. They don't care about facts. And that kind of shows that I hate when people say TDS, because a lot of Trump, and it goes both ways. There's people that really do hate Trump, but not a lot of people like me that think he is bad. We don't have TDS, but we won't say, oh, there's facts in front of us, we're still going to believe Trump. It's crazy to me. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. We're waiting on an international topic. It's a little bit scary because we don't know, like, with all the oil stuff happening, and gas prices are so expensive right now, but oil is going down. We just have to see that hit the gas markets. What will happen during election time? Because they can kind of control this too. People that help out with oil production. International topic is Trump frequently announced he's halting strikes in Iran, but they keep happening. And what's interesting, one of the biggest foreign policy stories this week centers on President Trump's handling of the ongoing conflict in Iran. A new PBS NewsHour report highlights a pattern has become increasingly common within a months-long conflict. President Trump publicly announces that the U.S. is halting and concealing planned military strikes against Iran in hopes of restarting diplomacy, but fighting often resumes shortly afterward. According to the report, Trump announced over the weekend he called off another round of planned U.S. attacks because he believed negotiations with Iran were about to resume. He said that the Middle East countries has urged him to pause military action and claimed a potential agreement could reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a vital shipping route for global oil, and address Iran's nuclear program. However, almost immediately, questions emerged whether those talks actually existed. Iranian officials publicly denied that any negotiations with the United States were underway, saying that the diplomatic discussions were limited to regional issues involving Oman. Meanwhile, attacks and military operations in the region continue despite Trump's announcement. Reinforcement of that perception that ceasefires and pauses might be fragile and often short-lived. The article also noted that PBS wrote, "This isn't the first time the administration has announced a pause in military action, only just to see a renewed strike or fresh confrontations a day later. The ongoing cycle has made it difficult for allies, markets, and observers to determine whether diplomacy is generally advancing or whether military pressure remains the primary strategy." And knowing Trump and people in his admin, it's probably for military pressure. Supporters of President Trump argue that his approach reflects strategic unpredictability, which is an awesome, great idea. They say repeatedly threatening military action while remaining willing to negotiate. I don't know what that means. You're willing to negotiate, keeps pressure on Iran without immediately committing the United States to a larger war, and it also prolongs it forever, which is awesome. They also point to reports that regional allies have encouraged diplomatic solutions and argued that avoiding additional American casualties is a positive outcome, whether negotiations remain possible. Many supporters view a pause as evidence that the administration is keeping military forces at leverage rather than a first opinion. But since we keep going back to it, we're actually not talking about it. It's kind of crazy. I mean, Obama didn't have to do this to get his Iran nuke deal done. Critics see the situation very differently. They argue that repeatedly announcing halted strikes while combat continues creates confusion about U.S. policy, weakens American credibility, which that's definitely true, and makes it harder for allies and adversaries to understand Washington's intentions. Some also question why the administration's public claims about negotiations after Iran officials denied they were taking place, suggesting mixed messaging can complicate diplomatic efforts. Online, several topics have been trending on both perspectives, which is cool to see, so make sure you look it up as well. Another quick National One topic. I'll take a quick sip of water and we'll go right into that. So something happened. The House and Senate, they have these ethics committees. They recommended Caesar for Representative Chuck Edwards in a sexual harassment probe. Republican Chuck Edwards is facing one of the most serious ethics findings of his congressional career after a bipartisan House Ethics Committee recommended the full House formally censure of a North Carolina Republican following a months-long investigation into his conduct regarding 2 young female staff members. According to the report, investigators found substantial reason to believe that Edwards violated House rules regarding sexual harassment and maintaining a professional workplace. Importantly, the committee did not accuse Edwards of sexual assault or unwanted physical contact. Instead, the report describes what investigators viewed as a sustained pattern of behavior that created an intimidating and uncomfortable work environment because of a power imbalance between a member of Congress and his staff. And you'll see what I'm saying in a second. The investigation detailed numerous incidents where Edwards allegedly gave expensive gifts, including jewelry, electronics, Broadway tickets, and other personal items, made repeated comments about staffers' appearance, sent emotional letters and late-night messages. Ooh, late-night messages! God dang. Wiz Khalifa over here, call him Drake. You up text messages? Shooter's gonna shoot. You know, Wayne Gretzky over here. Like, you can't be doing that when there's that power imbalance, like they say. You can't, nope. And like, you can just tell, you know, and jewelry and electronics, how expensive electronics are, you know what I mean? That's, you can't give people you work with, if I'm not wrong, like a gift less than $20, you're not supposed to, let alone thousands of dollars, like this probably sounded like. Arranged elaborate birthday surprises and invited staffers to dinners and vacations. Yikes. That always works out well. Probably photos all over that. One staffer reportedly felt scared after some of the increasingly personal attention. The committee concluded that after a reasonable person could interrupt many of Edwards' actions as romantic or sexual in nature, even if he denied that was the intent. Investigations also criticized Edwards for deleting messages during the investigation, saying it hindered their work. And yeah, he can't really be, getting rid of evidence. Edwards has consistently denied any wrongdoing, arguing he never intended to pursue romantic relationships with his staffs, and that his actions were misunderstood. He said, "I'm just a communist. I love just giving my money to my staffers." He didn't say that, of course. He has maintained that he had treated employees generously and professionally and has rejected the committee's conclusions. Still, the bipartisan ethics committee recommended that the House vote to censure him, the chamber's second most severe punishment after expulsion. A censure requires a majority vote of the House and serves as a form of public condemnation, but does not remove a member from office. Lawmakers are expected to consider the recommendation when Congress returns from recess. Supporters of Edwards argue some of his behavior may have been unprofessional, but they believe the punishment is excessive because the investigator did not find sexual assault or explicit sexual propositions. However, I do believe, also many conservative commentators are also questioning whether the committee failed to interpret gifts and personal gestures. Gifts, you don't need to interpret that. That's just money, in my opinion. And secondly, I kind of see it as a workplace environment. So if this was like your boss and your boss was giving, another coworker all these gifts, like, yeah, big no. You get reported to HR. Hit him with the HR button. Bang. Alright. While critics countered that for reported highlights that unique power imbalance between members of Congress and junior staff. Exactly. A lot of times, like, they're interns, for God's sakes. I mean, we're not even going to talk about that. Watch House of Cards. They argued if a conduct does not need to be physically sexual to create a hostile work environment, which I also agree with that, especially when employees feel unable to reject advances because of career concerns. And that's true. These people could bury an intern like that. So this one I want to talk to you real quick. Our last topic is kind of cool. For McDowell Museum receives funding ahead of its 35th season. One of Mahoning Valley's premier art institutions is getting a financial boost as it prepares to celebrate a major milestone. For John J. McDowell Museum of Art and Youngstown State University has awarded a new sustainability grant from the Ohio Arts Council just ahead of its 35th season. The funding is designed to help museums and arts organizations continue operations, expand the programming, and provide opportunities for artists in our community. Museum officials say that the grant will primarily support the museum's Emerging Artist Series, which gives new visual and performance artists an opportunity to showcase their work in a professional gallery setting. It's pretty cool. Visual art's kind of cool. I don't know what performance is either. I don't know if that's just how it looks or actually is kind of a performance. That'd be kind of cool. Funding will also help the museum continue hosting exhibits, educational programming, artist talks, and community events that become a staple of Youngstown's art scene over the past 3 decades. Since opening in the early 1990s, the McDowell Museum has become one of Northeast Ohio's leading contemporary art museums. Located on the campus of YSU, it offers free admin and features regional, national, and international artists, while also highlighting the work of YSU students and its faculty. Its mission has been to make contemporary art accessible while strengthening the cultural identity for Mahoning Valley, which is really cool. For Mahoning Valley, the announcement is another example of continued investments in local organizations, especially art organizations, alongside the McDowell Museum. Several other area organizations, including the Butler Institution of American Art, Youngstown Playhouse, the Opera, Western Reserve, and students motivated by the arts also received Ohio grants for the funding cycle, highlighting the region's vibrant and growing cultural landscape. And we see here in Gerard too, and in Warren. Warren has a theater in Gerard. They're trying to make a theater too with the art, so that'd be awesome if you do that. So just want to talk something a little bit quick and kind of fun about with the arts. I really appreciate everyone stopping by tonight to come here on the Week Ahead News Show on the Doodle channel with me, Liam. Tommy's still out for a bit, probably until election season. I won't even lie, because he's working his butt off helping out that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate everyone stopping by tonight. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell. Our Facebook's in the description if you want to follow us on there. I didn't have time today to post it on there. I kind of forgot I was cooking dinner, but we should have got notified that I went live. And I really appreciate everyone stopping by tonight. Even watching the next days, it's nice to get a like and everything like that. It helps out with the algorithm. Support any way you like. Feedback's awesome too. Always love that. That's really it for me. Hope everyone has a good night. Peace.